On the line, we got the pastor. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you so much, Clinton Lindsay. I really appreciate y'all having me come on here today.
Yeah, not a problem. You know, when you're from a reggae royalty, when you're from
Yes.
reggae royalty, you have to be treated as such. So, you are another shining star coming out of the Cowan camp. How you doing?
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Is it me or do you have a little bit of feedback?
I'm good. I haven't hear anything coming. I haven't heard any
Oh,
feedback coming from you.
okay.
You hearing it coming from me?
Yes, I hear it, but maybe, yeah, I hear it from your end, but it's okay as
Maybe
long
the
as you're
music in
good.
the
They don't make
background.
enough money. They don't have the right education. They not from the
All right, so let's get into it. A lot of people have been playing your stuff for the past month or so, and most people are like, "Mr. Lindsay, who's she again?" Mr. Lindsay. So tell us a little bit about who is. Most people here say Sarah, but I've heard Sarah. How do you pronounce your first
Yes.
name?
Sarah. Yes. Sara, long it out, draw it out.
Ah, Sarah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us because you just for most listeners here since I started playing your song, you just popped up from nowhere. So you must have a start somewhere. Could you get into that a bit?
Yes, so of course, I born and raised in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is Tommy Cowan, my mom is Valerie Chang, and
Right.
both of them were in music. So my bonus mom is Carlene Davis. She sings, as
Right.
everybody knows who she
Right.
is.
Right.
But my mom was a producer. My mom had started Talent Inc. or corporation with my dad. So she used to do a lot of production based things, not necessarily artistically based.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think growing up in that environment, we were kind of always exposed to the stage one way or another. And I ended up running away from home and got born again after having run away from home. And unfortunately, then in 1992, my biological mom was murdered in Stony Hill.
Oh, sorry to hear.
I, yes. And so I went to Bible college, Christ for the Nations in Reading, St. James, in Montego
Mm-hmm.
Bay area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left and finished my theological degree in Dallas, in
Let me
Dallas,
ask you this:
Texas.
How old were you when your mom was killed? How old were you then?
19.
19. And what the effect that had on you as a 19-year-old? Um,
Well, it was terrible because my mom was in and out of our lives because my mom unfortunately was on crack. She was on drugs
oh,
for
sure. Okay.
yeah, she was on drugs in and out, and so we would spend time down in Trenchtown with her, Swallowfield area, all over, Oceana downtown, and we come
Ah,
up to
yeah. Yes.
Mona
Yeah.
area. So we were
Yeah.
all over. Some days, sometimes she was very really really good and she was okay,
Mm.
and then there's sometimes that drugs was taking her
Take it.
over,
Right.
and
Right.
yeah,
It,
and then she'd be just missing. So when she got murdered, it created for me specifically, it was very devastating because it created a lot of opportunity for fear. I never thought I was thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to live past 42? Because my older sister, Debbie, also passed when giving
from the
childbirth.
same mother. The same mother.
No,
Okay.
from same dad, from daddy, but a different mom. And she died at, I think, around 40 years old. So that kind of death happening when you're young,
Right. Right.
you kind of makes you think that you're not going to make it beyond a certain year.
Right.
But,
Right.
you have to kind of trust that the Bible says, with long life will I satisfy you. So it was very, very traumatizing, to say the least, because I'm a teenager. My younger sister, by
I
the
am.
same mom, is like 4 years younger. So she died when she was about 13. So I would say then I was about, yeah, 17, well, 18 then,
18.
17, 18. Yeah. I
So
thought I was
did that
older, but
lead
no.
you? Did that those tragedies? That did they lead you into wanting to tried a different road in terms of you say you went to college and you studied
Hmm.
religious beliefs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gathering.
Well, well, no, I think here's the thing. You don't know that your situation is not quite normal until you see other people's situations.
That is true.
So, so for me, growing up in reggae, growing up on the Sunsplash, all those different things with my dad, a lot of that was common. No, in terms of with my mom specifically, then it was very impactful. And because she was missing a lot. So for me, she would tell us, don't ever try drugs because she was aware that it was very hard for her to
Yes.
kick it.
Especially
So
addiction is
right,
not good. But you
right.
grew up with, yeah, even though your mother passed, but you still had the legendary Tommy Cowan in your life. Did you was it, for people, and I ask this all the time, a second generation, was he
Hmm.
just a dad, or was he Tommy Cowan, the musical legend, writer, singer, producer, manager, and all of that? What was it like growing up of a dad
Well,
as
it was,
Tommy Cowan?
well, said it, well, the thing is this, because remember now, that, I mean, you may not remember now. I'm talking like you
Yeah,
remember now,
I understand. I
but
understand.
yeah, but remember that my mom, my natural mom was the second female producer that ever came out of Jamaica. So
Really,
both of them
right
were
after
legendary.
Sonia
Yes,
Pottinger?
yes, yes.
Ah, I didn't
So
know that.
my mom, yeah, managed people like Massive Dread and stuff, and that big concert that both my mom and dad worked on with the whole Michael Manley and Edward Siaga. That's her production as well. So
Ah,
you understand that both of them were holding it down in their own right.
right,
But my
right.
dad was never Tommy Cohen, the artist. Because the thing is, the person that he is as an artist, he's as a dad, as a person. He's not like a fake person. Like he doesn't have an alternate ego personality on the stage.
That is true.
When you watch whatever you see on the stage, that kind of energy, that kind of generosity, that kind of presence, he's in everyday life. When you phone call him, he's the same person.
Yeah,
So
that is
one of the
true.
things I had growing up with him is that I would get to go to a lot of places with him because I would cry if he would leave me.
You want to be the spotlight too, huh?
No, no, I just didn't want him to leave me because you have to understand when if your mom is on drugs and she's unstable and not there, your dad is the only stability you
That is,
have.
yes, I can see that. Yes.
So if he was leaving, I would wonder if he was coming back. Because remember, he's on tour too. So you have parents that are leaving and they're leaving for long periods of time and you don't know if they're coming back.
Right,
So for
right.
him, whenever he was on the island, I would run. And so I would get to be in the studio with him. I was the first child that he put up on the stage with him. I would read the announcements with him.
Oh
I
wow.
was like a
So you
little,
had that
yes,
you have that from birth then. You had that.
yes, I just can't sing. I just can't sing and
I
I
was
don't have
about
no
to
rhythm.
ask you, Sarah, I was about to ask you, why
No,
did you choose this part of the art?
because I can't sing,
Yeah.
dance, or play instrument. So I
Are
have
you
to
telling
find
it
some.
to the world, yeah?
But I can chat. But I can chat. I can
Yes.
chat. So and I can write. So his writing ability, his ability to be on stage unafraid and stuff like that. I do that because I preach, right?
Right,
So I
right.
took those gifts from him, where my older brother Che can play instruments. Nathan will manage.
Right.
Shakisha helps him manage in the thing. Saida, was in the military. Then Naomi sings. So all of us have pulled a different part of him. I pulled more the writing and the
Uh,
stage. I can be on stage without
right,
being
right.
afraid from him. But absolutely, people would judge you because you're Tommy Cohen's daughter, so they would want to teach you a lesson.
That is
But
true.
growing up with him, he's very man. He's the most supporting person in anybody's dream. Like he's a dream fulfiller. He's
Nice,
like
nice.
a kingmaker, like a queen maker. And it don't matter who it is. He don't mind being in the background, even though he's always up front. It
Right.
doesn't matter to him as long as you're fulfilled. So for me, I always felt very loved and very supported. And they'll all tell you, they'll play around in the family and say, "Oh, sorry, you're his favorite." It's because all you have to do is cry. And it's
It's
very
very,
soft. Don't let him
yeah,
trick you. He's very soft,
let me tell you this.
very
In the
soft.
weeks I've been playing you, I've done a little background check because I've never heard of
Mm.
you before, and I
What's your
spoke to a few people in Jamaica, and they said, "What? She's one of the most motivational speakers that private companies and other places hire you to
Yes.
to talk. Is that true?
Mm. Yes, absolutely. Because you have to see that with all the different things that I've gone through, right? And we have different things along the timeline of our journey, and to
Hmm.
be able to bounce back without any medication and things like that is a testament to my faith, right? Because
Right.
I've gone through sexual assault, I've gone through public humiliation, I've gone through,
So
you know,
so those are the
all of that.
things that give you the motivation, the experiences that you have had in your life. Do they create that I guess vocabulary where you have to motivate and move people? Because I understand sometimes when you talk, you make
Hmm.
people cry because of how
Hmm.
emotional you get. The way you grew up, did
Yes,
that have anything to do with it?
yes, yes. Let me tell you, because my my dad and my mom, and then of course there's Carlene who came in as a stabilizer for us. But my mom always bounced back, no matter what. If
Hmm.
she's in trench town, she's still going to start a business. No matter what, she's always going to bounce back. And my dad, so my mom, I would watch her do whatever she needed to do in a situation to provide, to move forward, no matter how much rejection she got, no matter how much embarrassment, no matter what, she would crawl her way back up.
Right,
So
right,
that I
right,
took from her. But my dad, no, he does not allow himself to treat people bad no matter how they treat him.
right, right,
And I don't know how he does that, but the
right.
generosity that he has,
He has a good
I've been able
spirit.
to,
He has a good
what?
spirit, I
Yeah,
can tell you.
yes, yeah, very good. So growing up watching people do him wrong, people try, to mash up his name. People
Right.
try to put him up all in the middle of things, and yet he will just stabilize and stand on business.
Oh,
So for
God
me,
bless
the
no man curse. Oh, God
curse,
bless.
right?
No, let me
No
ask you
man
this.
curse,
Let me ask you
but the
this, though.
vocabulary comes from him. From him.
I can hear it.
Yeah,
I listen to your
yeah,
tracks and
definitely
I'm
from him.
like, this is really a Cowan, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
is this your first album? No.
Oh yes, it is. Yes,
It's your first album.
it's my first, but not my last. It's
Yeah.
my first.
What drove you then? I mean, you've been doing the circuit in terms of speeches.
Jealousy, jealousy,
Oh,
jealousy,
yeah. Oh, go ahead. Let's hear it.
jealousy, and envy.
No, but based on your story that you just told, just doing an album for the first time, why just now and what took you so long?
Seriously speaking, like I told you, I don't have those singing talents and all of that. But music is the way to convey hope, light, faith, possibility. It's one of the best ways to communicate it because you get words or you get rhythm. You get two opportunities to do that. And I was going through a divorce, and a very public divorce. And when I was going through that, my dad had asked me, have I lost vision for myself?
Hmm.
And I told him, no, daddy, I haven't lost vision for myself. And he said, then you're going to be okay. And then the second question he asked me, because I said to him, I said, I'm older now, people are canceling me, and he said, if none of that was an obstacle, how would you behave? How would you
Mm.
behave? How would you carry yourself? What would you do? If everything you said wasn't an obstacle but an opportunity, what
Right.
would you do with it? And I said, I wouldn't stop. And he said, okay, then do that. So I said, Daddy, I want to do an album. And so all of those tracks came out of that conversation of doing something. No.
No,
Was
right.
I going to stay? Was I going to
Ah,
stay
no.
stagnant? Right. You see what I'm saying? No, I
Yeah.
have to pivot. No, I
Yes.
have to be something different. No, I have to rebrand. No, I have to pick up my feet. No, I have to provide for my kids. No, I have to build a new future. No, I have to build a new possibility. I can't wait because he said if any of what I had was an obstacle, was turned into an opportunity, then I could not wait for tomorrow. I had to do it now. So
Okay.
that came out of that conversation and the situation that's going in and the responsibility I have as a spiritual leader to say, do not wait. Do not tarry in what you can do. God will do the parts that he can do. But if you are lazy in what you're supposed to do, then you can't blame God for any delay because it's not Him, it's us. And
Okay.
so I had to do that to encourage myself
Right,
and
right.
encourage others.
Let's take a track from the new album, and the track I'm gonna play is "Win Now." Set that
Win now.
set that up for me, for the listeners, all of us. Set it up. "Win Now." What is it
Do you want to
about?
win? We know is that every opposition is an opportunity. Every problem has a solution built already in it, and you can take the moment to look at what is your wailing point, your pain point, or you can look at it and see, even in this, God is able. Even in this, I can still win it because nothing. The Bible says that all things are going to turn around for my good. So even in this situation, even in this problem, I am still winning, and I'm going to win now. And if I can shift my perspective on doing that, then I actually matriculate faster in where I'm needing to go than being held hostage. So no, we're not losing. We're always winning,
Brilliant.
and we're winning now.
You know, one of the things I like with this album is that your production team, you utilized not modern but familiar rhythms.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
I
yes,
think that's a
yes.
good move because we're not used to a female pastor second first and then now doing it on these hardcore reggae popular rhythm. I think that's a big plus.
Yes, absolutely. But one of the things we wanted to do is I am a very big Jamaica person, right? So
Mm,
I want to honor the rhythms, the history, the culture, the legacy, the legend. I want to honor that all the time.
right,
So
right,
in doing that, you can pick another rhythm, but I'm from Jamaica and I've never been a Jamaican. I'm a Jamaican that lives in America, but I'm
right,
not an American, and I
right,
never want to confuse the two
right,
because I'm proud to be Jamaican, and I'm proud of music has always been at the forefront of our life, and
right.
in honoring the past, honoring the culture, I think it's how I can say thank you.
Nice,
Thank you,
nice.
Jamaica, for being the country that I got to grow up in. I mean, it's a privilege to be Jamaican, and I
It
wanted to honor it
certainly
that way.
is. Everybody now wants to be a Jamaican, at least
My
Jamaican
dear.
connected.
And then of course,
What,
following the lead of my dad as well. Just wanted to honor the diaspora, wanted to honor, make it where it's
right.
friendly enough that anyone can listen to it. I didn't want tracks and things on there that
Right,
would
right,
evoke
right,
anything
right.
other than good vibes. I wanted good vibes. Yeah.
And you certainly achieve it with this. What's your relationship? And I noticed you mentioned Carlene a few times. What's your
Yes, of
relationship
course.
with Carlene Davis? What is it like?
Oh my gosh, that's like after Jesus is her. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, the lady there. That lady there is gold.
Nice, nice.
Carlene know everything. Carlene is like the safe place. You can tell her anything.
Thing
I tell her
nice.
things, even Mr. Cohen don't know him. You can't tell him
Yeah,
everything because he
right.
will react
He gotta
and
react.
respond.
But
Right. But
one
for
of the
Carlene,
one of
she's
the
the best.
reasons why I ask because usually stepmama, mother-in-law, those
Yeah.
people never have a good relationship. The fact
No,
that
that's true.
you are not her child but from another
Yeah.
person.
Well,
Eh,
it's how she do it though. That's the thing. She needs to teach a class for real. So let me tell you the real story. Okay, so when Caroline came into our lives, I was only 10, and I really didn't know what to do with all of this because I'm used to being the superstar, and then here she come on roll up in here with us, with Nathan,
right.
But here's the thing that I wish everybody could know and learn from her. I wish she really could do a class. One of the things Carly never did was Carly never spoke about any of the other moms in a negative way that was involved. Car-
Ah,
that's number one. She never fought for her position.
right.
Like she never pushed herself up to say, you know what,
I mean,
Tommy,
no.
forget about those children.
Mm, mm.
Yes, right. It wasn't like it's me. No, it was very. She was very. How do we make sure everybody's taken care of, not
Nice.
just not just her kids? So
Prom
when she came in,
Colleen. I like that.
oh, her. From she came in our family, she put our names on our album. Even though some of us was like, we didn't know what to do with her, she still put her names in the album, honoring us, even
Yes.
though we weren't her children.
Right.
Even though there was like tension, trying to figure out, navigate a new thing. That's one thing. Number two, neither of them have ever let us say that's your half brother, nothing. No, that's your sister.
That's your
That's
sister.
your brother.
Nice. That's the
Right.
way to
Full
go.
bro. Whereas Carlene is just as invested in my dream and anything I'm doing as my dad is.
Right.
When I tell you, we would not be the family we are without her. She is calm, she's smart, she's resourceful, she's
Nice.
gifted,
Nice.
she's
Nice.
generous.
Nice.
Oh my God. When I tell you, if my father leaves the earth before her, he don't have to worry because she's got all of
Uh,
us. We come to
so it's
her
just
aid
one
and
big
her
one big
support. We love
family,
her.
Sarah. One big loving
Yes,
family. What's
but
your
it matters. But it matters who you marry. It matters
That
because
is true.
not
That
every
is true.
female is like that. It's
Yes.
not every female like that.
And
We
that's
would never
why
claim.
I asked the question.
Yes.
What about
No.
Naomi? What's your relationship there?
Naomi. Oh, well, Naomi's like, I always say all of them are like my children, even though they have great
Oh,
parents.
yes.
Because remember, a lot of them was on tour and I was with them. So Naomi is spent a lot of summers and stuff with me. So, we are really, really close. We talk all the time. That's the thing. Our family talks all the time, no matter where people are. We
Right.
have a group chat, family chat.
Nice.
Naomi's like a little dream partner. Shakisha is right above. She's a calm. Uh, she's not always calm, but in terms of comforting calm, she's a
Mm.
comforting calm. Like she's a caretaker. She's boss, but she's a caretaker.
And
Naomi is
kudos,
like, yeah, it's like Harleen.
kudos,
With her
kudos
man.
to Carlene and Tommy for keeping the family so tight and
No, they need to be like interviewed a lot on how they did that blending because we they respected the art of blending before we came blended. But
right.
there's certain things that they did that, like my dad, like I said, when Naomi was born or Nathan was born, it was like, you have a new sister. It wasn't, and even though we have the same dad, my dad is like, he's like so strange, He's a strange person. So let me tell you how strange my dad is. Let me tell you how strange my dad is. If you if you have a child, so if I have a child, I'm his child, and I have a child, and that child have any issues, even if that child is not living with him, he's going to take on responsibility.
Right. Right.
Okay, saying that, like for example, my ex-husband, my dad still communicates because he's like, that's the father of your children. There's no bitterness that way. So when
Not
I'm trying to rile up and do the most, I'm like, Daddy, why are you even doing all of that? He's there still teaching us. So
right.
they work so well together. I
Very
don't know. I
good.
don't know. We're locked out. We're locked out. We're
Yeah,
locked
yeah,
out.
apparently, because I'm gonna say to you that this is the opposite of so many
No,
dysfunctional families that you read and
no, they
hear
need a
about.
class. They need a class. But he has certain standards too. But Carlene have certain standards. Daddy have certain standards about how you're going to run that you're not going to exclude children. But
Right.
Carlene have a standard too. If she didn't see my dad involved in his children, she wouldn't have been with him.
That's true. Well, it's so
Yeah.
unusual to hear someone just
Both of
talking
them,
about.
yeah.
Because I have a daughter that I
Yeah,
love a lot, and
no,
we
they
have that kind
prioritize
of
their kids.
yeah, we have that kind of relationship. No,
Yes, yes, yes.
before we go, tell us
Hmm.
a little bit, because the song that I have, when I get an album, right?
Yes.
The first thing I ask the distributor or whosoever sent it, what are the songs you are looking at? What you like? And they would give me 3 or 4 choices. And I would say, I don't know, this one, I'm feeling this one more than the other 3. After all, I'm the one playing it on the radio. I have to get people to like it. And I want to love the song where I feel, compelled to play the song. And the
Hmm.
song that the first one I've taken off is
Hmm.
Pray Now. And
Yeah,
Tommy said, Yo, Clinton, that's the one. That's the one.
yes.
So tell us about
Yeah.
Pray Now, because this song means a lot to a lot of people. I get the calls and say, oh, thanks for
Oh
playing
my
that song
gosh.
because, they were feeling bad for the day or down, and this song just
Yes.
kind of motivate them. Tell us about this song, Pray Now.
Because let me tell you, because that's the quickest way to get out of something is to realign your focus on the possibility of what God has for you. And when you're trying to touch heaven, the quickest way is through worship and prayer is taking advantage of the opportunity to have a spiritual encounter. When you have a spiritual encounter, it puts you in a different realm. When you can meet God through prayer, then you're able to see what he sees and experience what he's seen. And it elevates you out of where you are and puts you into where he wants you to be. So
Right.
prayer is the quickest way to just switch a thing, because you get to through prayer, you get to pour out your heart. You get to empty everything that's bothering you and put it into the lap of God. Number two, it then switches gears. As the more you pray, then you start beginning to see that you start thanking God. So you
Right.
move from complaint and you start moving into praise. When you get into praise, you get joyful. When you get joyful, you get strength. And the Bible says the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Strength.
So when we need strength to endure, when we need strength to go through, the thing that we need to go find is joy. The way that we find joy is through praise. Sometimes the gateway through praise is through prayer. So when you pray now, you're now looking for the strength that you need, but truly, you're getting into a place of joy and you receive that strength.
Hey, listen, we could go on and on. It's very interesting, but time is very limited. So we have to wrap it up now. Is there anything you want, listeners to, anything else you want listeners to know about you?
Yes. Okay. Here's the thing. Things are not going to always go as planned. You may not have been blessed that along the timeline of the tragedy of my life, I was able to really have good parents. So even though my mom was struggling with crack, she was a good parent. You know, my dad was a good parent. My stepmom is a good parent. You may not have had those things supporting you along the timeline of your life, but one thing is that you have God. And when you don't feel you have anything, you still have
I've got,
everything.
yeah.
And he's always putting somebody in your space to support you. You may not see them, you may not recognize them at the time. When Carlene first came into our life, we didn't necessarily recognize her as the gift that she is, but my gosh, we would lay down our life now for her.
Right,
So
nice.
sometimes you're not aware of the gifts that God has given you along the way. I would say, stand on the word. When all else fails, and your mind feels like you're losing and it looks like that, you want to call to who you can be. Just like my dad said, have you lost vision? Create vision for yourself, and decide that that's what you're going to hold on to. You're not going to hold on to what was, you're going to
Right.
hold on to what can be and what
Right,
will
right.
be.
Okay.
And, you can find me. I have a community. It's called Imagine More Community. And, we have a community. You can find me on Instagram at I am Sara, Saraco. That's where I mainly hang out. On Facebook at Pastor Sara Connor. But in my community, we do spiritual things. We do emotional recovery. We just do encouragement and things like that too. So just find me on Instagram is the best way to communicate and
communicate
stay
with you.
contact with me
Okay.
at I am Saraco. But other than that, I would say to you, all things really are possible, and you can always bounce back from anything because you have the God of the universe. And he's not just a God that's just in the sky, he's a very practical God. And so when you're in trouble, just bust out one of the trap them.
Great. Listen, I gotta go, Sarah. Thank
Okay,
you
thank
very
you.
much. And hey, Tommy Cowan, enough respect to you, my brother. I mean, even before I met him, I knew him
Yes.
because from the days of the Jamaicans coming up and
Oh yes.
so he's a part of the track of our the soundtrack of our
Right?
lives. So I want to big him up. Sarah, I want to thank you for taking time out, and we will continue our communication. And
Sure.
maybe when you come down into Florida, we can go on TV and you can do an interview
Where's
on
Florida?
TV.
Which
I'm,
part of Florida
I'm
are
in
you?
South Florida. I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
I'm passing through there in a couple weeks. Who
Well,
knows?
you have my digits. Just link me, all right?
Yes. All
All
right.
right.
No problem.
God bless
Thank
you.
you. You too.
Clinton Lindsay, a promoter. Bring up the biggest set of artists from Jamaica. Like Super Cat and Mr. Early be the doctor. Only for artists, no for them, me can't remember. Who can remember when them used to keep Jamaica? The kind of show that used to give out no for water. To